coverage, this being the most violent day in the history of the city of Dallas, Texas. Clint Van Zandt has been with us, part of our coverage. You heard his many conversations with Lawrence O'Donnell as this escalated, and we realized exactly what we have here. Clint, I can't believe we're having a conversation about something like a kill zone in not just an urban area in America, this downtown, in this city, on this night, at this protest, targeting uniformed police officers.
Yeah, Brian, this sounds like urban terrorists in Central or South America that would be doing this. You know, we're used to be hearing that buses of police cars are shot up because 2 or 3 terrorists will triangulate either with rifles or RPGs and take the vehicles out and knock the police officers out here. But in America, by and large, that's why police officers carry handguns, because they don't usually go up against weapons greater than handguns. And it was so frustrating to see these officers down behind their cars looking up at a 10, 15-story building, pointing their handguns up in the air, realizing that that weapon's not going to get up that high and do any good. But if somebody's sitting up there with a semi-automatic assault rifle, they are plunking down. And Brian, I turned on the television about 10 o'clock and I was watching an affiliate from California. And when I saw that first police car get hit, the wheel came out from under the car, and the next thing you see, Brian, are 2 officers. One sprawled out in the middle of the street, looked like his gun was laying out in front of him. Brian, he didn't move. And the second officer was behind the car with a couple of guys trying to minister to him. I mean, you know, that takes me back to Vietnam and seeing combat take place like that. But when you see that on American streets and you realize we've got snipers up in the buildings trying to knock down the men and women in blue. I mean, black lives, white lives, blue lives, all lives matter. And to take these 2 wrongs now, what we saw the last 2 days, these 2 shootings that appear to have some very negative consequences, and then to turn that around and make it even more negative with these assassinations.
Damn, niggas wild and big.
This conversation we keep talking about in America,
it's
really going to have to happen. We're going to have to come together and just agree to not kill each other, first of all, and then start to agree to how we're going to solve these issues.
And Clint, as you speak, you know we're just hours away from this being the subject of the presidential campaign. It already has been things like open carry laws, things like the different philosophy between arm everybody and get more guns out there to stop a bad actor with a gun versus restraining gun rights in this country. We happen to be talking about an open carry state in Texas.
And, you know, there's very legitimate constitutional reasons that allow United States citizens to carry guns. But when you see people walking through the streets with rifles, when you see, like I did just a week or 2 ago, a guy comes into a store, he's got his wife and 3 or 4 little kids, and he's got a gun kind of hanging down from his underwear in his back pocket. And the thought has to be, what are you going to do if something happens? Are you going to pull that gun out of your underwear where you've got 3 little kids standing next to you, and now bullets are going to start flying? I mean, the common sense rule has got to take hold someday. But Brian, we've got, what, 320 million Americans. We've got well over 300 million guns. And that's just a math problem, not less a social problem that we're going to have to solve.
And you talked about the ongoing conversation that's been brought into great relief this week by these 2 horrendous, hard-to-watch social media videos of these 2 police officer-involved shootings.
Like,
the death of 2 black men, one in Louisiana,
the other in
Minnesota.
Clint,
the other thing I've been anxious for people to note from the video we're watching tonight, you talked about this. These are police officers running toward the fire that took down some of their colleagues. Another expression for warfare is situational awareness. That's what they needed to get. Let's go, Clint, I have to interrupt myself, go inside City Hall in Dallas. This is the mayor of Dallas, Texas, we're going to be hearing from.
Good morning. As I said earlier, we are trying to keep you updated with as much information as we have real time, and that's the purpose of this press conference. I'll make a couple of comments after Chief Brown, and then we'll take a couple of questions, and then you probably won't hear from us in person until in the morning again. We will be sending information out as we get it online. I do want to say that I've heard from both the White House and the governor's office extending their help, and we're sure going to be able to use some help from the governor's office. And we've got so many police officers out tonight that we want to make sure that they're backfilled in the right way. But there's news to be given to you, and I'll let the chief talk about that.
Currently, we are in negotiations with a suspect involved in these shootings at the garage of El Centro in downtown Dallas. This suspect we're negotiating with for the last 45 minutes had been exchanging gunfire with us and not being very cooperative in the negotiations. Before I came here, I asked for plans to end this standoff. And as soon as I'm done here, I'll be presented with those plans. In addition to this second floor garage, as we recap the previous press release, we have in custody a female who was in the same area of the El Centro garage, and we followed a Mercedes with two suspects who had camouflage bags, who officers end up stopping on traffic in the Oak Cliff area near Polk and 67, and they are in custody and being interviewed. The suspect that we are negotiating with that has exchanged gunfire with us over the last 45 minutes has told our negotiators that the end is coming, and he's going to hurt and kill more of us, meaning law enforcement, and that there are bombs all over the place in this garage and in downtown. So we are being very careful in our tactics so that we don't injure or put any of our officers in harm's way, including the citizens of Dallas, as we negotiate further. We still don't have a complete comfort level that we have all the suspects. So we will continue a very, very rigorous investigation and search of downtown. We're likely to be working throughout the early morning hours of Friday until we are satisfied that all suspects have been captured and have opportunity to be interviewed so that we can fully understand what's motivated this attack on our officers. As I mentioned in the press release before we came out, one of our officers who was in surgery that we had hopes would survive passed, bringing the total count of officers passed to 4, that passed away to 4. 3 Dallas police officers and 1 Dart officer. We're continuing to ask for the public's prayers and support and encouragement. But I could just tell you, I've never been more proud of a police officer and being a part of this great noble profession. Seeing the courage, the professionalism, and just the grit to stay on scene in an area looking for suspects, knowing that we are vulnerable. We don't know where they are, and our downtown is very large with a lot of high buildings. And some of the stories I've heard from officers talking about what happened, running toward gunfire to help the injured officers, to get them transported to the hospital, by patrol car, not having the time